Well, joining us now to talk a little bit on the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken's state visit to Kenya, is Vincent Kimosop, who's a policy and governance analyst and sovereign insight in Kenya. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program.
My pleasure. How are you, sir?
We're very well indeed. So, big news item, U.S. Secretary of State has arrived in Kenya. We are, as journalists, talking about Sudan, we're talking about Ethiopia and regional issues. Is that what's top of the agenda, or are there other items that perhaps are not making the news but will likely get discussed?
Yes, there are other issues that are on the agenda. As you know very well, there was a U.S.-Kenya free trade agreement that was being debated and discussed. That was yet to be finalized. There is also the issue of climate change. You remember we are just on the eve of the COP26 that has been taking place at Glasgow. In Kenya, we have seen very clearly the impact of climate change. We've had droughts, people affected. There is also the issue of terror, the fight against terror. As you know, yesterday we had a problem in Uganda. There are other issues that are not getting the premium. I think the media is picking, of course, those topical issues because of the weight that they carry. But I just wanted to confirm that there indeed are things that are being discussed.
Does Kenya have the influence and the gravitas in the region for America to say, please help us solve these issues in Ethiopia, in Sudan?
Yes, I think, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Kenyan, so that I'm not accused that I am taking the nationalistic lenses. I think objectively you can say yes. You know, currently Kenya is a member of the UN Security Council. Kenya is also the chair of the AU Peace and Security body, and also the Kenyan president is the chair of the East African Community. So from a diplomatic locus, you can see that Kenya has the influence. From a business perspective, you know, we have had increased investments within the region, Kenyan companies, one of them like Safaricom getting to Ethiopia. Somalia, of course, is a country we have, the country has worked with, and Uganda is a major trading partner. So even from the advances that the country has made democratically, you can see that there are things that Kenya could leverage on towards using soft power to actually bring the kind of ambitions and the visions that the US would want, a stable region. We have challenges in Sudan, you have challenges in Ethiopia, Somalia, and when you look at who is which countries to work with, the natural body or platform is Nairobi for that matter.
Has Kenya not tried to intervene in Ethiopia already?
I don't know if I would call it intervention in terms of the hardware. I think we have seen soft power. The president of Kenya flew into Addis, had bilateral meetings with the prime minister together with also the president. And also you could see that in terms of the closeness or the level of camaraderie of friendship, you can see that they have a working relationship. So using that soft power to actually push for dialogue, because ultimately, as you know, that no matter the conflict that you may have in any, the two antagonists have to come to the table at some point. So appreciating that only dialogue is going to get Ethiopia out of this is important. And I can say that, yes, they have done it, but we are yet to see the results that we so desire, which is a peaceful, stable, and a harmonious coexistence in our northern neighbor.
And the reason I've asked this is if the Kenyan government has already reached out in one way or another to Ethiopia, And it seems as if Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is taking a fairly hard line with the resolution of this issue. What can happen just because the US Secretary of State is in town? The same circumstances persist. The US has already threatened sanctions, and this hasn't really gone down well with Abiy Ahmed. Rather, he's pointing to Washington saying that you're meddling in internal affairs.
I think I was actually concerned with the sanctions, the move that was taken by the US, because when there is a problem and the perception that goes out is that by putting sanctions on Ethiopia, you are already taking sides. This is the time for encouragement. This is the time for a closer and a working relationship, and really focusing on the bullseye, which is the conflict at hand. So I would say that you would understand the position of Abiy and team, because they are the ones in power, and naturally, when you are levying sanctions on them, you are already declaring or projecting that you're on the side of the aggressors. So I think you would understand the position that the current Prime Minister and team have taken, but it will be critical that we do not lose focus on the important thing, which is a peaceful Ethiopia is good for Africa. This is the country that was never colonized. They represent a pride. They host the African Union. And as you know, if we have problems in Ethiopia, currently Ethiopia contributes militarily for troops, for AMISOM in Somalia. So the natural thing is that will affect the number of troops that they are having in Somalia if they have an internal focus. And by extension, a common problem like terror in Somalia, you have a humanitarian problem. And you know we have a challenge in Sudan, North and South. So as in, I think for me, I'm of the persuasion that we need to focus on the big picture, which is a stable region, and sanction may not yield the results that you desire at this point.
All right, so the other side of this, you've said that it's important for Africa for a stable region, a stability inside Ethiopia. However, this conflict, Tigray and Addis Ababa, has been running now for more than a year. More than 7 million people have been affected. We're looking at a humanitarian crisis on the ground that has been getting worse month by month. And it's only in recent weeks that the AU have sent an envoy to the region to try and do something. So it seems as if the African Union is going at a very slow pace and trying to resolve a crisis that's growing quicker than they are moving.
I think you have to contextualize this. You remember very well that the Ethiopian Prime Minister is a recipient of a Nobel Peace Prize. They went recently to an election. He was popularly elected. So there are dimensions that you have to bring to bear so that you can actually get the context of what is at hand. I think internally the African Union wanted to give them space, allow the internal processes within Ethiopia to take their natural trend before moving in. So that for me will be the first way I look at it. The second thing is also the appreciation of the place that Ethiopia occupies within the African history. And finally, the weaknesses that needs to be addressed within the African Union. You know, for example, in the case of Sudan, they suspended Sudan from a membership of the African Union, but their tools are yet to get to the efficacy that you desire and yield the results that you would want. So there are lessons, I think, for me that I gleaned from this, that beyond the resumption of order and the settling of the issue in Ethiopia, we need to work on strengthening multilateral and bilateral institutions so that we do not get the kind of situation that we are seeing in Ethiopia. As you know, look at the role that Ethiopia played when we had COVID. Ethiopian airlines were distributing vaccines across the continent. They were facilitating.
There's no question about Ethiopia's contribution over time. Right now, though, we have a humanitarian crisis. And the reality is, you in Kenya might start to see a number of refugees crossing the border and coming into Kenya.
Yes, I was actually going to buttress that point, and the truth of the matter is that it is in Kenya's interest. As you know, we are moving into close to an election in August next year. So if you have a humanitarian crisis, there are people who are Kenyans who actually have relatives across the border. So some of them would seek refuge. So, and as you know, the challenges we've had economically, the challenges we've had, even in dealing with the internal challenges, these things may compound. So it is in Kenya's strategic interest to see that the situation in Ethiopia is contained, because if we cannot even think about the impact and the proportionality in the event that it is not contained and done in time, so that we can then direct energies towards recovery. Just internally, through COVID-19, we shed over 2 million jobs. So this is not a problem that we would want to see escalated beyond the current context and situation.
All right, so that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thank you very, very much indeed for your time. Asante sana, asante kwa wakati wako.
Karibu sana. Asante sana.
All right, thank you very much indeed. So that's one of our contributors talking about the situation in Kenya and neighboring states, hoping that this visit with Secretary of State Antony Blinken might help in terms of solving these immediate issues, particularly in Tigray in the north.